there everyone, and welcome back to Hollow Knight with me, Kid K. Mirai. This time's opening title screen is called Void, and as you can see it is mostly just black. And also, if you listen closely, it sort of adds a little sort of ominous tone to the, the title screen music. Now, I don't exactly remember what I did to earn this particular title screen, but it probably had something to do with what we are going to do today, or I should say one of the things that we're going to do today. So let's hit it and get started. We left off back at Queen's Gardens after talking to the White Lady a couple of times to see what she had to say about the new charm that we got by going to the White Palace and seeing Dad, the Pale King. Well, first of all, first thing that we're going to do in this video is a couple of more lighthearted things. I thought that it was kind of important to do this kind of stuff before we head into, the absolute end game stuff that we're going to be doing in this video and the next one. Where we will finally, be facing the heart of the infection, our other option for dealing with Hallownest's problems. But before we do that, we're going to take a look at a couple of, like I said, more lighthearted things. First of all, you might remember or might not that the last time we bought charms here, which was quite a bit ago, from Salubra, she had said that when we came back with some more charms, she would grant us her blessing. Or possibly she didn't say that, but the the item sale buying thing for her quote-unquote blessing, whatever that might be, came up. So now that we actually have, hold on a second, every single charm, the last one was the other half of the King Soul, we can go over to Salubra's and find out just what that blessing is. Hello. Haven't seen you in a while, ma'am. A special blessing from me to you. You've earned it. Which is different than what it said, which was you had to get however many more charms there were left to get in the full set. She will not sell you this until you have every charm in the game. So for 800 more Geo, this is possibly the last thing that we actually will buy in this game. Alright, let's get this blessing! My dear, a blessing for you. With your excessive patronage and those startling good looks, you've more than earned it. Salubra gives you a kiss. Isn't that nice? That's a cute picture of her. I like that. Received Salubra's blessing. A boon bestowed by charm lover Salubra. Those blessed are followed by beauty and love. Yes. I hope my blessing brings you everything you desire. Don't be a stranger, sweetums. Okay, she's still just the same thing there, but let's see what happens if I try to shop. Goodness, you've gone and bought all my lovely charms. What a stunning, colorful collection you've amassed. You're even more the attractive bug clad in all those wonderful sparkling things. I may have nothing more to give, but you must come back and visit me from time to time. Such a dashing figure frequenting my store. I'll bet the whole village is jealous. Salubra, there is no more village anymore. Okay, and that's her usual, dream nail dialogue. Alright, so... Anyway, the next thing we're going to try to... Okay. The next thing we're going to try to undertake is Actually, I think I need to... Yeah, I think I need to go up here to get back around to the Stag Station. The next thing that we are going to do is kind of a silly thing, but I wanted to include it in this playthrough because, and in fact in this video, because as we've been approaching the last parts of the game, we've come to the end, sort of our grand exploration of the Kingdom of Hallownest. Oh wow, okay. So, what this next part of the video is going to be is we are going to undertake yet another mystic quest that is going to take us to and through lots of different locations within the kingdom. And it may seem silly, and in fact, it is pretty silly, but even so, I thought it was important because it would be nice to take like a final, you know, look through the kingdom. Now watch this. Our blessing of beauty and love is that whenever we sit on a bench, this little spirit of Salubra will show up and will fill up our soul gauge. It probably wasn't so easy to see this particular time because I had my soul gauge pretty well full up. But, you know, as I perhaps use soul to heal and things, it's a really helpful thing to have in this game because it means that whenever you sit on a bench, you'll not only get your health back, but if you sit and wait for her to fill you up, you'll get all your soul back as well without having to, you know, run around and strike things. It's often very helpful before boss battles and before attempting things like the Trial of the Fool, where you might sit on a bench in the Colosseum, for example, and you'll get all of your soul back so that you can make another attempt at the Trial of the Fool, you know, with full soul. So we're actually headed, first of all, for Kingdom's Edge. And I think I know where we're going. But I've only done this, I think, once. And so, hopefully I'll be able to find my way. I looked up a walkthrough for where to go. Okay, so we're here. I think I need to get over to where, you know, Minister Oro's house is. So I'm gonna head downwards. Alright. That's one way to do it. Oh, no, it's gonna be okay. I'll stay at the bench by Oro's house. Because I need to put on a special charm. That one that I don't think have really worn at all in the game yet. You'll get to see one of its side effects. Meanwhile, I did not miss you guys. Hoppers I did kind of miss because they're worth a lot of money for something that's so fairly easy to kill. Okay, gonna have to go through some great hoppers too, though, unfortunately. Yes, I know. But where we're headed is a sort of secret area. Where we will read something that will tell us where to go. First, as I said, gotta... Oh! Wait, no, I want that. See, you can see, just... You saw the soul fill up, right? Okay, good. I definitely want my compass. But, I think... Since we're going to be just basically exploring, I don't really think I really need money. How much is this worth? Oh, okay, it's only one. So the Spore Shroom charm. What happens when you use the Spore Shroom is that when you heal, you send out a cloud of spores, and those spores will damage enemies. But what we want to do here is drop down. I think that's right. Hold on just one second. Yeah, no, that's just this is just a statue. Okay, I think that where we're going is somewhere in here. This walkthrough that I read, you know, explained it. Okay, there's a secret entrance that leads to a bunch of drops. I forget if I showed you guys this, because this was a section that I went through and then lost the recording of, remember? And didn't realize that I was no longer recording. What we're on the lookout for is there's gonna be apparently some, like, weird, like, talking noises. Ooh, that was weird. Okay, well, I think it's in here. If it's not, then I'll go and find it and just make a cut. No, I think it's through here. No. No. There we go. Okay. Yeah, here's where I'm going. In here. And I think what I did was I told you guys, yeah, I went in there and, you know, it led to a bunch of drops. There's just a bunch of drops that I had to use the Desolate Dive spell to open up. And, it led to a bunch of money. And so I don't think I actually, like, showed you it because there was no need to. Because all that it took me to is a bunch of money. Okay. So there's some weird voices. Actually, one of the side effects of wearing the Spore Shroom charm is that you will hear these, like, mysterious voices and you'll get lore tablets in the fungal wastes. I never went through and got them with you guys because, there was really no need to, and it didn't really fit in with any of the videos after I got the Spore Shroom charm. That's not what we're doing today, but you do need to be wearing the Spore Shroom charm in order to do what we're doing today. But first of all, we start out with this tablet. We speak the path of the Master Herald, he who would signal an age's end. Spawn of self, their minds unite, aside the source of acid blight. Aglow in darkness, widening depths, winds all howl above fossil stone steps. Monarch flies, in airs sit still, to roots domain, and snail once shrill. Path of worm, at new lands entered, their journey's end. The kingdom ventured. This tablet gives you clues to places that you need to go. It says that it's the path of the Herald, who, you know, heralds an, you know, a new age, or, you know. So, having gotten all the clues, now we need to set out on our journey to go everywhere that those clues pointed to. And that will take us to a lot of different places. So, I'm gonna make some, you know, some cuts to me, you know, getting to the various places. Oh wait, no, that was where that was just where a grub was. I actually do have to try to go back to this. I'm gonna put cuts to where I get to every place because there are quite a lot of them and it's, you know, a while to journey to each place. But, we will, you know, find something weird and cool, you know, where it all ends. And we will find weird and cool things as we go as well, because we have to visit every single place. Will we find this Herald? Well, you'll just have to see. So, hold on a second, guys. I'll be right back with the very first location mentioned. Okay, guys, here we are again, in Fungal Wastes, of all places. Now, the very first clue for where to go for this quest was Spawn of Self, their minds unite. That is a clue for going to the Fungal Wastes, because, you know, mushrooms sort of bud through spores, you know, spawn of self kind of thing. And you hear this weird chattering? This you can actually hear without wearing the Spore Shroom charm. But you can't do anything about it unless you are wearing the charm. We're gonna find out who this is. It's a weird talking mushroom. Let's dream nail it. Worms pull bugs into their thrall, till ages pass and kingdoms fall. Caps and shells may fall to dust, but Mr. Mushroom readjusts. Mr. Mushroom, huh? I told you this was going to be kind of silly, didn't I? Now, when you listen to this guy, if you're not wearing the Sports Room charm, everything he says is just going to sound like gibberish in a foreign language. But since we are wearing Sports Room, it's going to sound like, you know, the common tongue of Hallownest, so we can understand it. He's called Mr. Mushroom. It's nice that you were able to help your friend. So, you're not hungry anymore? Yes, that was quite the appetite. I was impressed. Still, we all move on sooner or later. To greater things, perhaps? So much can be achieved in just a short time. Oh, excuse me. So it seems like Mr. Mushroom wasn't really talking to the knight there. It sort of seems like he was talking to, you know, somebody completely different. But someone who had been hungry but helped out a friend, you know, that's a bit weird. Anyway, what we're going to be doing is going around and finding the locations of Mr. Mushroom and listening as he says a bunch of weird things. But as I said, the point of this is just to travel around the kingdom one last time together. So I hope it'll be, you know, something silly and enjoyable before we, you know, descend further into, you know, the melancholy vibe that is, you know, the primary thing of this game. So, the next location was described as... Hold on, gotta find it again. Aside the source of acid... Wow, that was like a weird glitch where it just walked me into the wall. Anyway, aside the source of acid blight. So, we're going to be looking someplace where there might be acid. So, I'll be right back again, you guys. Alright, here we are again. Once more. We're going to be here several times. Well, I mean here, meaning me saying, hey, I'm here. So where we are right now is down, again, in Kingdom's Edge, but right near where Isma's Grove is. So it's aside the source of Acid's blight. So Isma's Tear was what allowed us to swim in acid, so that was sort of our clue. But you can hear him talking. And here he is. And you just smack him again. Turns around. And then you listen to some more stuff. Shouldn't trust the eye they gave you. Rely on your own instincts. If you've got a keen nose, use it. And while you're hunting for secrets, beware those who are hunting you. Oh, excuse me. Then he just leaves again. This is just some weird stuff. I mean, that one was somewhat good advice. While you're out hunting, be aware of who might be hunting for you. Like, you know, that's kind of ominous yet, you know, pretty good advice for a game like this. Okay, so our next clue was a glow in darkest winding depths. Now, you could probably guess darkest winding depths is going to be a deep nest one. So, that's where I'm headed next, y'all. So, again, I will see you in a second. Guys, actually on my way to Deep Nest, I decided to use a route that would take me down through Fungal Waste to get there. And I came through this room and heard, you know, the weird talking, so I decided to pause for a second and show you one of the lore tablets from Fungal Wastes. This border bounds the twisting, scratching things. Their dead sire, once of honored caste. Their sealed mother, but the common beast. No peace with them we make. So that's a reference to the fact that this is, you know, the border with Deep Nest, and sealed mother but the common beast, that's Hera. So, dead sire once of honored caste, that would have been possibly, Hera's, true, mate, husband kind of, kind of person that, other than the Pale King. That's not Pale King. But, we don't really know who, who that might have been, but it's an interesting thing to think about that there was a sire for all of these, for all of Deep Nest, as well as Hera as the queen. Alright, I'll continue my journey down to Deep Nest and be right back. Alright, found him again. Where Galen was. See, the clue was that there was a glow in the deepest depths, and it's the glowing mushrooms. Huh? The dead can't make use of wealth in any case. What would they spend it on? Good point. Yes, a big brood like that, they need food, and shelter, and toys. If you keep some for yourself, well, I think you deserve it. Yes. That time Mr. Mushroom's advice to, some unseen person who we don't really know how he's talking to them seemed to be about, taking stuff from the dead in order to, feed your children. Which is sort of, the kind of thing that, Quirrell told us to do. Take things from the dead because they shouldn't be burdened with them. Alright, next one is... Mighty Depths. Winds all howl above Fossil Stone Steps. I'm sure you can all guess that means Howling Cliffs. So, see you when I'm in Howling Cliffs. Anyway, guys, I know I said I'd be back when I'm back in Howling Cliffs, but as I'm walking through Green Path, I was just sort of thinking to myself, if the point was to show you a quest that goes throughout all the areas of Hallownest, why not actually do that? And just, say hi to Green Path for a second. It's one of the prettiest areas of the game, one of the first areas that we went through together. We haven't really been back through too much of it in quite some time, so, why not travel a little minute together? And remember up here was where we first met Zote the Mighty, my very favorite character. No, that's not why I came back. Came back to talk to you. But, yeah, I think it's kind of important always in games like this to remember what it is you're, fighting for. And so, traveling through some of these areas together again, is meant to show, here's the kingdom that we're, working to either save or protect or, whatever. And the big question in this game, or I should say one of the big questions in this game is this place worth protecting? Or is it best to sort of let it go to its end at this point because of, how messed up it is now? Okay, so something to contemplate as we're wandering around. Alright, now I really will be back when I hit Mr. Mushroom again. Just wanted to remind you of how pretty Green Path was for a second there. Alright, our next location is actually the Nail Master's house, of all places. Oh, I'm glad he has new dialogue since I talked to him. Okay, so Nail Master Mato has this to say. That charm, could it be? Only the great Nail Sage himself could have bestowed such a thing. Your achievements humble my own, my pupil. I myself have sworn never to lay eyes on the Nail Sage again, not until I have truly mastered his teachings. But if you see him again, please, let him know that I am forever grateful. That's talking about our nail arts charm, our Nail Master's Glory. Meanwhile, this guy's just chattering away in Mato's house, probably disturbing his meditation. reputation, so I better talk to him to get rid of him. What was called a hero in its moment may be called something very different after time has passed. That is a really good point. The crimes and triumphs of our predecessors echo all around us, don't they? The chains of fate that bind us all together, do you really want to break them? Oh, excuse me. That was almost relevant to what we had been talking about just when I popped in to say, isn't Greenpath pretty? Is this place worth protecting? But on the other hand, do you really want to break what, quote, holds us all together? Which, you know, could be a reference to the kingdom. But the thing about, you know, what is called a hero in its day could be considered something very different later. You know, references to, you know, a couple of characters, including possibly the Hollow Knight. Just maybe they were considered a hero in their day, but are now, like, all but forgotten. But, or, for another example, Ogrim, considered a heroic knight in his day, now just the Dung Defender, who's just the weirdo that is, you know, in the Royal Waterways. So the next place that we're going to says monarch flies in airs set still. So we're going to go back to where we got our monarch wings down in Ancient Basin. So that's kind of a trek. So I'll be back in just another little bit. So anyway, I know I'm going to Ancient Basin, but I chose to go there via City of Tears rather than just take the Stag station to the hidden station down by the palace, because I thought it might be nice to run through the City of Tears a final time, you know, in all of its glorious dead splendor. Hey, maybe it's not so nice. Hey, Emilitia, what's going on? Oh, could it be? You've returned at last? No. No. Oh, pardon me. For just a moment, I mistook a certain quality about you. You seemed almost regal. Silly, I know. It's clear you're not of high birth, wandering about all dirty and tattered like that. I can't believe she actually gave different dialogue, because I had, you know, and that's, you know, her usual Dreamnail dialogue. But I came in here just, like, as a joke. Okay, well, I'm glad I did that. She mistook the knight for the king. Again, probably because of the king's brand. I can go down there. But, you know what? Let's run through here real quick. Remember when we came in here and we killed the Watcher Knights and then killed Lurian up there at the top of this tower? My ulterior motive was really to pass by the fountain again. Our first actual glimpse of the Hollow Knight. Remember? In the black vault far above, through its sacrifice, Hallownest lasts eternal. Alright, well, I'll go back through and head to Ancient Basin now. Now here's a very melancholy part of the kingdom, Ancient Basin. Melancholy in general, but also because we have to pass through where we fought the Lost Kin broken vessel, which was one of, you know, the first vessels that we ever saw. We did see the ones that had been gotten by Nosk before that. But the fact that this quest takes you through that and reminds you of, you know, that is, you know, kind of meaningful. But here he is again. Will you say something vaguely relevant or at least wise this time too? Well, if things are getting too dangerous down there, maybe it's time to take a break. Come back up and spend some time hunting, or gathering, or wandering aimlessly. No, not too much longer now. Oh, excuse me. Things getting too dangerous down there? Like, is that a reference to, like, down in the well that leads you to Hallownest? Huh, weird. But not much longer now. I mean, that's a little bit... makes it sound a little ominous. But telling you, like, hey, if you're doing something stressful, maybe you should, you know, take a break and do something else. Again, it's kind of good advice. Next place, to Root's Domain and Snail Once Shrill. That is actually over by where the snail mound was, the overgrown mound, where we got our... It's now called Abyss Shriek. I think it's called Howling... It was Howling Wraiths. So, we'll be headed back over there. To yet another lovely part of the kingdom. Unlike this place, which is kind of just... desolate. Alright. See you in a minute. You know, I just had the thought that, like, this is also gonna be our last time really traveling around with our friend the old stag. You know, so we can consider it like a last journey with him as well. Remember that the old stag said that as long as, you know, the knight has business in Hallownest, he would hang out and, you know, travel the stagways, because he knows that what the knight is doing, like, seems important. He might not fully know what the knight is doing, but he sort of gets the sense that it's, you know, something important. So he's willing to help us. And remember thinking how that was pretty cool? Okay, be right back. Alright, I can hear him, but I don't see him. Could he be over here? Okay. Ah, there he is, there he is. So I went to Overgrown Mound, but he was just near it. But the clue was in Root's Domain, capital R on the root, so that was, you know, the queen. Hi. I haven't seen her, no. I'm sure you'll remember where you left her eventually. Trust the moon, or yourself, or trust her. You need to trust something. That's my point. No, not him. No, absolutely not. Oh, excuse me. It's like he's talking on the phone to people and we're only hearing, like, his side of the conversation, and then he's just like, hey, stop eavesdropping. But the idea of trusting a her, you'll find where you left her soon enough, but don't trust him. I wonder who the him and her are. I mean, could the her... it's abstract. He's not talking to the knight, but, you know, in the abstract, could he be talking about Hornet versus ever trusting the king? Who knows? I mean, again, we really just don't know. So, the next and final one is Path of Worm at New Lands Entered. So, we're going to head back up to King's Pass, actually, where the game began. Alright, one last cut, and I'll see you later. But, oh, before I cut, look how pretty this is. We are traveling this beautiful kingdom together, you guys. See you in a second. Okay, again, I know I was supposed to be going somewhere different. This time we were headed to King's Pass, but I realized none of Mr. Mushroom's, you know, locations were in Crystal Peak. And because it's such a beautiful area, I wanted to just, you know, take a quick little jaunt through it with you guys again, one last time. I'm actually running all the way up to the top of it. Because remember that beautiful, you know, view off the top? Oh, wait, now I'm remembering why I don't like coming here. I was thinking about how Mr. Mushroom's locations tend to be, like, at the borders of things. Like, you know, the border where, you know, the acid blight comes from is the spot between Isthmus Grove and, you know, Kingdom's Edge. Kingdom's Edge itself is a border, so, you know, and that was where the, you know, the tablet was that said where he was going to be. You know, Deep Nest is a border with, you know, between Hallownest and another kingdom. There's just, you know, there's you know, some thought behind, you know, where his locations are. But, so I guess, you know, we weren't gonna run through City of Tears, for example, you know, so that's why I wanted to do it, like, just sort of as an, okay, as an aside. So, in this case, we're going up here just because we wouldn't be heading to Crystal Peak otherwise. But I wanted to just run up here for a second because it's just so pretty. A little desolate, I guess. I thought it was a bit, like, prettier than this. But I remember seeing all these, you know, sealed up things. And, they look like the kind of things that were on the, you know, the mold, down in, the depths of the White Palace where the king was undertaking his experiments. And they kind of look like the, tablets that have the king's voice recorded on them as well. But, I remember pointing out that, like, that arch there has the spikes, but there's 6, not 4. And we're all the way up at Hallownest's crown, which is kind of cool. You know, all these archways. And we had this big freaking statue. There was a pale ore here. But this isn't the king. I mean, I don't know who this is. It does say remember light, though. Huh. How about that? Well, I'll see you in King's Pass, guys. Okay, well, the easiest way to get to King's Pass is through Dartmouth. So, let's take a stroll through town. You're still here, I see. You jerk. Goodbye. Hi, Elderbug. I know you'll just say the same things again, so I won't bother you right now. But remember just the very, very first video. Very first time we played together, you guys. Coming up through King's Pass and busting through this door. It's like completely destroying it. Beyond this point, you enter the land of King and Creator. Step across the threshold and obey our laws. Bear witness to the last and only civilization, the eternal kingdom, Hallownest. How ironic and, like, just sad that seems after, you know, having gone through this entire game together. That was, you know, one of the other reasons I wanted to do this was just to, you know, I knew we would end up back here again. But just... yeah. It's certainly been quite something to go wandering about this place, and at the very beginning, just, you know, thinking, surely, you know, this is a game where we, the knight, are here to, like, save the place, you know, improve it, make it better in some way, like, rescue someone maybe, or even just to explore the kingdom and find out what was going on with it. But then it turned out that there was all this, you know, all this story going on where the kingdom was not all it's cracked up to be anymore. It's all just dead, full of a zombie plague caused by a battle between some gods over turf. Barely anybody's alive, and everybody who is alive is, well, several of our friends are dead now or gone. So, but it all began here. If you remember, the Queen said, you know, we should go, you know, back to where it was born, where it died, you know, where it began. That's not here, obviously, but this is where the game began for us. And here's Mr. Mushroom waiting. Let's see what he has to say. It's not by tools that you'll triumph. It's through your smarts, your speed, your determination. And now it sort of almost seems like he is acknowledging the knight. Oh, I see. So, you've been following me around then? I hope my travels haven't confused your own. distracted you. Then again, a meandered journey still has meaning. It is, after all, from a journey we find our purpose, though a stop is more than just a stop. And my, if those stops can't be lovely things, wouldn't you say? Transcendent plateaus, distant sandy lands, vast ancient kingdoms. Yours was not the first, nor will it be the last, but it's a unique and special thing nonetheless. Now, with my duties here finished, it's time I made graceful departure. Till next time, my friend. 'Tis a long road we tread, but a joyous one. I wonder what duties those were. I mean, the original tablet said something that he was a herald. You know, let me get it out. We speak the path of the master herald, he who would signal an age's end. So, an age of what? The age of this kingdom? Like, maybe he's going around and chronicling things and talking to invisible people? Like, we just don't know what Mr. Mushroom's all about. This is all just, like, very silly and fun. But anyway, Mr. Mushroom, he's going to make a graceful departure, but he hopes to see us again. All right. Until our paths cross again. He just left. Well then. So. Alright, so that was our, little silly part of the episode. An hour later, it won't be an hour for you guys, but it took a while to go around to all those places. But again, as I said, like, coming back to really where it all began, that was what the Queen told us to do. It's just this wasn't what the Queen told us to do. But, back where it began for us. So, I definitely wanted to share that little bit of weirdness with y'all. But who was Mr. Mushroom really? What was he really? Where did he go? Anyway, I'm sure you weren't here for Mr. Mushroom today. After all, at the end of the last episode, what I said we were going to do was solve the mystery of what the Queen really did mean by going, back where it began. And also, solving the mystery that's the same mystery of what it says in the description of the King Soul Charm, which says it opens the pathway to a birthplace, or opens the way to a birthplace. Now, that of course truly means the abyss. So we've come back down here to do the more serious part of this episode. Now, as we head back down into the abyss, we spent quite some time while in the White Palace, discussing the various themes of the game, things that we had learned sort of more recently in the game. But when we got to the top of the White Palace, the reason I didn't really stop to talk and make a big deal out of this in last episode was that I wanted you guys to maybe sort of think on it yourselves. But now we can, sort of talk about this thing. What I'm referring to is the fact that at the top of the White Palace, you find the Pale King, the creature that, basically started all of this trouble, by coming into the turf that is now Hallownest, but that used to belong to the Moth God, and stealing the god's followers, and, gaining their worship somehow, either by uplifting and granting them minds, etc., as we talked about last episode, or, through some other means, like gaining their respect and their adoration and their worship. And what we found at the top of that palace was just a corpse. Hold on. Remember this. Our pure vessel has ascended. Beyond lies only the refuse and regret of its creation. We shall enter that place no longer. I just want to remind you, that is what the king left behind. To talk about all the dead bodies that are down here in the abyss. That are our meaning the knights, you know, other siblings. There's just a tons, like probably literally tons, like you know, literally thousands of, oops, that just ruined the drama of it. Literally thousands of dead children down here. And we now know that they are the king's own children. You know what? I think I made a mistake. Hold on, I think I actually need to be wearing the King's Soul. I'll be right back, you guys. Hold on. Okay, I'm back from ruining the drama of it all, having put on the King's Soul. It's basically taking up my entire, you know, charm thing, but you can watch it as it, like, slowly fills up my little, you know, soul vessel there. Okay, now I'm full. Okay, but anyway, there's thousands of dead children down here. There's no two ways about it. We now know that they're the king's own children with the queen. You know, somehow. He had a bunch of kids with her, and he also did experiments with putting the void in, you know, void harness shall be placed upon you. He, you know, made the king molds and the wing molds. Did all of this stuff. And yet, just, you know, were you expecting a boss battle? It was kind of a fake out, wasn't it? The whole thing of, we've got this giant, you know, obstacle course of spikes and buzzsaws and horror, and then at the top of it, you don't even get a boss battle. Like, did you think we were going to have to fight some kind of giant, shining, pale king? The fountain in Ancient Basin, where we did get, you know, a vessel fragment from it by throwing 3,000 geo into it, depicted him looking really fearsome and huge. You know, we have all the objects of worship, the king's idols. You know, he's smaller in those. I mean, that's, but they're tiny trinkets meant to be used for worship purposes. You know, not a true representation. And then throughout the White Palace, we had those statues that gave you a lot of soul back that, you know, again, depict the king sort of looking fierce, you know, with his great pronged crown. Just, were you expecting someone big? I guess if you went and watched the video from the Path of Pain before, you know, continuing to watch my video, you saw the little cutscene that shows the Pale King and saw that he wasn't really, you know, that big. But, you know, just that small, somebody just that small was able to, you know, cause all this trouble, and then try to fix it in a way that didn't work. But also, you just get this feeling of, like, melancholy from it. I've reached the bottom, so you're just going to have to deal with me talking for a second before I do the next thing. But you also just get this sense of melancholy from it, that he was all alone up there. You know, we don't really know if the White Palace, you know, being, you know, taken into a dream in the way that it was, you know, if any of those royal retainers are real people at all, or if they're just sort of like memories of real people. The king molds and wing molds are constructs that the king made himself, and even most of them are dead. Even most of the king molds are dead. We only saw 2 live ones. There's 2 more in the Path of Pain. So, just sitting on a throne, dead, all alone. And his last thoughts were, no cost too great. So, just sort of wanted to say that, because that was, again, what I was thinking my first playthrough. Like, this is the guy. This is really the person that everyone, like, followed, that the moths found was worth giving up their own god, that, you know, everyone just would be thinking thoughts of, like, you know, my king, all for you. Just not to say that, you know, a small person can't command a lot of respect or anything like that. I just mean that if you were thinking about someone, you know, like resplendent and wonderful, that's probably not what you were thinking of. So perhaps he was just very, very charismatic. Certainly mysterious, living in that spiky palace. Anyway, we are down at the bottom of the abyss now, wearing the King's Soul, which is supposedly the path to a birthplace. Let's head on over. thanks to wearing the King's Soul, this new thing has opened up. Remember when we first dropped down here, you know, to come to the Abyss, you know, there were, like, you know, the siblings popping up, the little shades that look like the nightshade, but just all these dead children. With me saying things like, oh, it's melancholy, he was up there by himself, you know, none of that, and none of any thought that you might have for, oh, he was trying his best to try to save the kingdom, can anything make up for all of these dead children. That's for each of you viewers to decide for yourselves. For me, no, absolutely not. But here we go, down into this new area. My outrage aside. And as you can see, it's this part is basically made entirely of the corpses of vessels. Look at these poor little guys. I'm going to be seeing a lot more siblings around. So this is spooky and hard to navigate. It's very tight in here. One wonders how there can even... Oh, here's a gate. So there's just, like, void gates around. Like, was that always here? I mean... Like I say, this is made up entirely of, you know, the bodies of vessels. So it's like... Are these... like tunnels we're able to get through, like these little ways, like were those like hollowed out by other vessels as they tried to escape through the bodies of their kin? Like, this is horrible. I'm sorry, they're not really dying. As you can see, they just sort of get hit and then drop. This is very spiky. And I can't ever tell if I'm going the right way. Okay, that was not. It's just a maze. And we don't have a map for this area. Of course we wouldn't. Okay. Just... Ugh. Also wondering why, like, the shades are, you know, attacking the knight as a living vessel. If we're kin, then aren't we friends? Like, shouldn't we be able to get along? But this is the place that, you know, all the vessels that we've, you know, encountered came out of. You know, there's no other place that they could have come from. So we've encountered, you know, the Green Path vessel that, you know, Hornet possibly killed, or that it died in some other way. We have the broken vessel, Lost Kin, and we have the Hollow Knight. But the pure vessel has ascended. Okay. Now we have this egg that looks like one of the, you know, hold on, let me get over there. The arcane eggs, relic from an ancient past, but our reflection is in it. And what we need to do is, we need to dream nail this. Now for the next little part, I'm going to be quiet other than reading what's on the screen that needs to be read. But be ready for some, you know, some angst, you guys. Alright, in we go. No cost too great. no mind to think. No will to break. No voice to cry suffering. Born of God and void. You shall seal the blinding light that plagues their dreams. You are the vessel. You are the hollow night. Collected the void heart. Now there's no reflection. But what we saw was the knights, we sort of used the reflection to go into the knights' own memory of their ascent through the abyss. Well, their first ascent. After all, the White Lady did say where it was born, where it died. You know, where the knight and all the other siblings should have died, and where it began with the Hollow Knight. And what we got for doing that, for sort of reliving the knight's very first memories of being alive, was that the king's soul became something called the void heart, described as an emptiness that was hidden within, now unconstrained, unifies the void under the bearer's will. This charm is a part of its bearer and cannot be unequipped. As you can see, it doesn't take up any charm notches. It just is a part of the knight now. I'm not at a bench, so I can't put my other charms back on. That's all right. But now, no king's soul, but a void heart, which is what we were able to gain from facing the knight's memories. Now watch what happens when we head back out and encounter siblings again. They no longer attack. Perhaps because they recognize the knight now as sort of being more of a friend, you know, as one of them. Perhaps they see more, you know, shade and void in the knight than the Pale King's influence. As we were saying while we headed down through the horrors of the abyss, just the quote-unquote regular part of the abyss, about the king. If you weren't mad before, I don't see how you wouldn't be mad now. The reason why the Hollow Knight is considered hollow is because they were meant to be a creature incapable of real free thought, with no free will, with not even a voice. And now you know why it is that when you go up to anybody, you get an option that says listen, never says speak. And Quirrell, even commented, my words return only, stoic silence. People comment on the fact that the knight does not speak, but they continue to speak to them as though a conversation is being had. The reason for this is the knight literally cannot speak. None of the vessels can speak, because they weren't made to. No voice to cry suffering. How just heinous is that, to have a vessel that's not only, unable to even think for itself, supposedly, but not even to, make, even an animal cry of distress. And that's the kind of child that the Pale King made. That's the kind of child that White Lady made. Children meant to be nothing but an empty vessel. But, as White Lady said, the Hollow Knight turned out to be, not up to that task, not up to being completely hollow. And one has to wonder, after all this wandering around, we consider ourselves as having been, going around making friends, forging bonds. You can do all sorts of things in this game that seem, either altruistic or cruel. But is that just what the player is interpreting the knight's actions to be? Or is the knight, capable of feeling things? What was it that made a creature like the Broken Vessel incapable of becoming the Hollow Knight? Was it really just whoever made it up here first? It was kind of like a race to the top. Were all of those vessels that were falling just falling because they weren't able to climb up fast enough? Did he just take the first one that showed up? Or were others reaching the top and he was somehow able to tell just from looking at them that something was wrong, and he was just tossing them over like garbage? Could the Pale King have known that this refuse and regret, imagine that this refuse and regret, that some of them were still alive when that doorway was sealed? Just, honestly, you would think that after having played this game several times, that my rage would become less because I've seen it a bunch of times. But no, I'm still mad. Just remember, as I said earlier, the whole thing of, here's the kingdom that we're trying to, you think as the player, you're trying to help or save, but is it worth it? Knowing what it was forged from, and, what was done in order to, make it the way that it is today, which is basically just a hollowed out shell. There's nothing here anymore. All the grandeur is just kind of left behind. Well, oh wait, no. Oh, this is my other one. It makes you look like you have a whole lot of charms now because the void heart doesn't take up space. So, you remember what Hornet said the first time we came back from visiting the Abyss? Was that there were two choices that we could make. We could either prolong Hallownest's stasis, or we could face the heart of the infection. And she seemed to suggest, both then and also when, excuse me. She seemed to suggest then that, and also when we spoke to her, when we overheard her her thoughts at in Deep Nest after her mother's death, that a better path is possible, according to her. So one would assume that she thinks that they face the heart of the infection choice is better. So, guys, where we are headed is straight on back to, the Black Egg Temple. Because now that we know where we came from, what happened to us, what happened to the Hollow Knight, just started out as tiny little guy like us. Gonna have to go and see him again. See them again. And, also see our sister. Hello, Hornet. You know everything, don't you? You know everything. I haven't seen her in so long. I'm so happy to see her. Hi, Hornet. The path is opened. One way or another, an end awaits inside. I won't be joining you in this. That space is built to sustain your likes. Its bindings would drain me were I to join. Don't be surprised. I'll not risk my own life in your attempt, though, if the moment presents, I'll aid as I'm able.
Hakana Sagamos.
Ghost of Hallownest, you possess the strength to enact an end of your choosing. Would you supplant our birth-cursed sibling, or would you transcend it? Supplant or transcend. So, just taking the Hollow Knight's place, that confirms it's just, prolonging the stasis. Would you just become the next vessel, or will you transcend the Hollow Knight? See what she's thinking. Could it achieve that impossible thing? Should it? So she's not going to come inside the Black Egg with the Knight, because the bindings that are on it are meant for being presumably a void, since, she has the Pale King's, heritage, but she doesn't have either root or void. Probably she's referring to the void part. So here we are again, you guys. We're not going to need our compass for this. I think I'm going to show you another one of the endings today. I think we're going to put on Steady Body. And, yeah. Okay. Salubra just gently woo-wooing in the dark. Oh, but do you remember? Though bound you shall know the state of the world. Hallownest will be whole again. What a nice sentiment to put in, to put in the egg with the child that you chained up. Oh, Hallownest will be whole again thanks to you, child. Isn't that great? I'm so mad at the Pale King, you guys. Just, really, really mad. But, unfortunately, all we can do to get an ending in this game is go in and beat up our sibling. The first time we came in here, we didn't know the full story. We didn't even have half the story. We just knew, kill the dreamers, go beat the Hollow Knight. And all we knew was go take its place. But just think about the fact that if the Knight had gotten to the top of the abyss first, that would have been the Knight in here. Not the Hollow Knight. Alright. This time, however, I don't think we're going to have to cut them down. I think they're just going to be waiting for us unbound. Yeah. And now I'm trapped in here, so wish me luck to fight them once again. Doesn't it become even sadder to think about when you know exactly how these two began their life? Here we go. noise to cry suffering? What's that all about? Obviously, they're able to make some kind of a noise. After all, it was the fact that they could make a noise that alerted us to come to Hallownest in the first place. And they're certainly making noise now. But also hurting themselves, remember? Like, we talked about it after that. What is puppeting this? What is, making them do all this stuff? When they stop to hurt themselves and, just... Wait, hold on. Because here's Hornet, she said... Okay, hold him down. Hold him down. But Hornet fell. Well, thanks, sis, for, holding them down, but I don't think that really helped. Okay, but... So, that is the second ending that you can get. I got interrupted in my ramblings, but then, it doesn't really matter. Because what actually, we saw was more important than that. That ending is called Sealed Siblings, because it ends with you basically getting Hornet sealed inside the black egg with the knight as well. She would now act as, the seal on, the new vessel for the infection. Because as you could see, her face appeared on the front of the newly resealed black egg, just as, the other dreamers' faces appeared on it, as part of the original seal on the Hollow Knight. So that is another bad end. I hope that you also noticed after, Hornet's face appeared, it played a little bit of, her theme music, just a little bit of that motif. But, like I said, another not so great end, because you didn't really face the heart of the infection, you only supplanted your birth-cursed sibling again. That is what I did when I, did my first playthrough, did, that first ending, did this second ending, because I made a mistake, and I didn't want to not make that mistake again. I wanted to, not make it as a mistake, but do it intentionally this time, just so that you would see that ending. My mistake was, when Hornet comes in and hits the Hollow Knight with her needle and holds them down, there's Dreamcatcher stuff coming out of, their forehead, where she has now cracked it. So, what we need to do is Dreamnail the Hollow Knight. We are not going to do that today. That is going to be the next and probably final video, other than, any possible bonuses that I choose to do if I decide to do some of the things that I've deemed too hard to do for an audience as part of the main Let's Play. But, just now that you have the full story of, where they were born, where they died, where it began for them, the fight becomes even sadder than it already was. And, you know, there's really not much more to say than that. They give you the same, you know, congratulations. Just as a final boss battle, that is like, you know, it's not even really cathartic. You know, it's a good battle. It's very well staged, very, very well, you know, done to give you that feeling of, should I be doing this? You've basically, you know, you could think of it in one way as you've put that vessel, your Hollow Knight sibling, out of their misery, you know, by, you know, ending them and, you know, taking it unto yourself. But the Hollow Knight isn't truly hollow. Something made it, you know, susceptible to the infection anyway. So you have to ask yourself, would the Hollow Knight really want you to have done that either? It's all kinds of, you know, very sad questions to consider here. But, it is well done on achieving this great feat. Well, next time we're going to see a truly great feat, you guys. But for now, we have also earned this. Mr. Mushroom, flying across the night sky. To be continued? What does that mean? This time our game completion percentage was 107% because we completed a couple of DLC things like, you know, the rest of the Grim Troop. We got some more charms. 44.5 hours, you guys, spent together to get that, you know, percentage. That is, I believe, the highest percentage you can get, maybe without, well, I didn't do the Trial of the Fool, so you can get, I guess, 108% if you complete Trial of the Fool. But, you know, other than that, and the, you know, the Godmaster Pantheon things, it's pretty high, you know, completion percentage. It's over 100. Pretty good. And we did that all together. But as Hornet pointed out, the question is, should we be going further? You know, what will it mean to Dreamnail the Hollow Knight? What is in there? What does it mean to face the heart of the infection? We've talked a lot about what is the infection. You know, it seems like it's the vengeance of the Moth God, but is it? You know, we don't know yet. We're going to find out next time. I'm just gonna stop here rather than, actually no, let me just go back in Black Egg, because I always end my videos on the image of the knight sitting somewhere. Well, here we are, back in the Black Egg Temple, because we will always come back to that point. And, yeah. Today we did a little bit of a silly quest, and by a little bit, I mean it was a lot of bit of a silly quest. Going all across the length and breadth of Hallownest to see Mr. Mushroom, and, you know, his strange bits of advice. But then, you know, we got the saddest part of Hollow Knight that there is. There's only really one thing left to do in this story, and that is to take that other choice. So, I'll see you next time when we will indeed face the heart of the infection. And see what happens when we try to take that on. So, until next time, have a good day, everybody.